So I'm 27 and it within the past year or so, that's when the majority of the memories started coming back. Um, I did have some memories that stayed with me from the time I was, 4 or 5. But it seemed like I was mentally just kind of focused on that one instance from whenever I was really young. And that kind of made me repress everything following that. But it wasn't until the last year or so that some more have come back.
And what did you always remember?
I remembered my abuse whenever I was 3. My dad made me perform oral sex on him. Um, that was the thing that stayed with me. Um, yeah,
Oh, that's interesting because some people remember the ones when they're older and then they
Mhm.
recover later the ones when they were younger. So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I remember just I had that for as long as I can remember. That memory is one of my first memories, and whenever I started talking about it, I didn't have the vocabulary really to explain what happened. But I did start talking about it when I was in like fifth grade. Um, and it actually kind of ended up in, I told my best friend, and, um, her solution was let's run away. But we were 12, and so our plan wasn't exactly, foolproof. Um, but that I remember that being like this a really like transitional and transformative part of my life, because after that, my mom was under the impression that I did it because I didn't love her, or just for whatever reasons that she could come up with. But no one asked why we did it. And it just kind of snowballed into losing my best friend and her being pulled out of school, and a lot of kind of guilt tripping and shaming over the fact that I was a straight A student who all of a sudden just turned into a delinquent. I had a really singular education growing up. I grew up as part of a small church community that also had a parish school attached to it. And my dad, my grandfather, my other uncles, they helped to kind of build this church up. And once they established an academy, the majority of us were enrolled in it. And I think student body population K through 12 was like 40 kids at most. Um, and yeah, I mean, I spent my whole time, just K through 12 at that same school. And so a lot of what they a lot of what the priests were preaching had to do with purity and maintaining virginity, um, and almost shaming the women into believing that, if you're not a virgin, if you're not pure, then God won't answer your prayers, or you'll never get out of. You're basically lost to the world if you're not a virgin.
How do you know your recovered memories are true?
it it brings back, or remembering it brought back a lot of the visceral emotions that I felt whenever I was trying to process whenever I was a teenager. um it felt more true to myself to admit that it happened, because it felt actually untrue, and it felt like a lie to say it didn't happen. It was like almost like my body was physically rejecting the the part of me that was saying, no, it didn't happen. Like, this isn't true. Rather than, yeah, like whenever I admitted it to myself, it was just like, it's a bodily experience. It's a physical state, um, of feeling and being.
Are you out of contact with your parents now?
Yeah, yeah, I'm not talking to either of them now. My siblings and I actually made or we agreed last year, last April, to confront my dad about it, and to tell him that we remembered everything and that, we were going to get authorities involved, no matter how long that process would take. Um, but yeah, it when we did that, it also included my mom as well, because there were, I believe, a couple of family members that knew what was going on but didn't say anything. Um, and my mom also knew what was going on. I feel, and like deep down, she knew. And so yeah, that just kind of left us completely separated from both my parents, and yeah, we're no contact.
Are you pursuing the it legally now? Or
Yes, yeah, it's taken a while, but me and my siblings, we've done our forensic interviews, and I believe right now they're just trying to do as much research as possible and interview as many people as they can. Because I mean, there's just so many people. Like my dad is one of 14 kids, and his majority of his brothers are abusers as well. So it's a really, so far it's a really long process, and there's quite a few victims of my dad, my sisters included.